Hello, and welcome to the Through the Eyes of George YouTube channel. Today what we're going to be talking about is George Washington's love for the outdoors, the frontier, and the environment, and what do those things mean today. In the year 1743, George Washington's father, Augustus, passed away, and the opportunity for George Washington to go to college or university was lost. A few years later, in the year 1748, George Washington was commissioned by Lord William Fairfax to survey the Shenandoah Valley. Lord William Fairfax had some land holdings in that area and wanted to know what was it all about, so to speak. So George Washington and a few others went on an adventure. And during this surveying expedition that George Washington and the others that were with him, he wrote a journal. And on George Washington's return, this journal, it is called the Journal of Major George Washington, was published in newspapers all over the colonies, in England and in Scotland. And in this book here, His Excellency by Joseph Ellis has a great depiction of that journal. Now, further on in George Washington's life in the outdoors and being on the frontier and just doing things outside, having a sense of adventure, George Washington in the year 1752 was commissioned as a major in the Virginia militia. And in the year 1753, he was assigned to deliver a message to the French military commander. And with him was Christopher Guest, and others were with him as well on this expedition. And so he went on this adventure, or this assignment, if you will, through the frontier. But one thing that helped George Washington on this commission or on this assignment was years before, when he was on that expedition surveying the area around the Shenandoah Valley. Doing this surveying trip for George Washington, really, it toughened him up as a man and as a soldier. It toughened him up to know what the outdoors is really like. He had a lot of trials of health. He almost died a few times on these adventures, but he pulled through, he persevered, and he made it. Now, George Washington, later in his life, he was a planter, he was a farmer, he was an entrepreneur, and he loved the sense of adventure. Just like today, people who love hiking, they love the outdoors. We have people who really like the environment and who you could call them environmentalists or conservationists. If I were to align George Washington with a president on the environment, I would say that how Teddy Roosevelt loved the outdoors, loved, you could say, a conservationalist like Teddy Roosevelt is what I would depict George Washington as. I don't know, and we can't really say that George Washington would be in favor of organizations like the Sierra Club or Greenpeace or things like that. There's really not a lot of evidence. I'm not saying that George Washington wouldn't, but we just don't know. And it's okay to say you don't know. But we do know that George Washington loved the outdoors, he loved the frontier, and that he would do what he can to protect nature's beauty. He would definitely be in favor of having national parks. Today, in today's culture, we have the National Park Service, or we have the Department of the Interior. George Washington would absolutely be in favor of doing that. George Washington would also, because he was a man of purpose, he definitely would be in favor of being conserving energy when possible. He definitely understood the meaning of doing what you can with the most of your land, so to speak. Because when he was at Mount Vernon, he tried many different things to till the land, to farm, to plant, to make money. He changed from planting different crops to planting others for the purpose of profit. And he understood that. And when George Washington passed away in December of 1799, George Washington was outdoors. He was surveying his land holdings of Mount Vernon. He came in and he didn't change his clothes. They were wet and they had snow on them, and he went right in and took care of the guests that were there. And George Washington died as he lived. He loved the outdoors. He loved being just where the action was, where the adventure was. And a great book about George Washington's excitement for the outdoors is Young Washington by Peter Stark. I highly encourage all of you, if you want to know more about George Washington's sense of adventure and of the environment, to highly encourage you to read that book by Peter Stark called Young Washington. And like I said, George Washington would be in favor of having a Department of the Interior. He would be in favor of having the national parks and conserving the land. But we can't say, and there's no evidence about anything else beyond that. And it's okay to say you don't know. It really is. Because if you say something and you you say something and you pontificate where you shouldn't, and you're wrong, you could look silly or like a fool. But I'll put all the books and the sources below in the description. Thank you again for watching this video and for continuing to support this channel. And don't forget to click the subscribe button. Give it a thumbs up if you like this video. And looking forward to talking to you soon. Thank you.